All right, welcome, excessproceeds.com. My name is Donovan. I'm going to be your chaperone for the evening. It is just after
Yes.
8 o'clock on February 12th, 2025. Going over to auction.com. Auction.com is a service that does a great job of providing lists that you're really not going to find any other place unless you buy the list. But auction.com gives you a way to organize those lists, and I'm going to show you a couple tips and tricks that I've learned over the last few months, and it just helps you stay organized because in our line of work, some things come down to speed to lead. You want to get to the folks and get to the help as soon as you can, and especially I'm going to show you some strategies tonight to, get ahead of the competition, so that you can call and text and things like that. However, you do your marketing as soon as possible, right? So auctions. Let me give you a couple tips if you want to take some notes right now. These are things that I'll start out with. So again, auction.com is going to be 99.9% mortgages. Okay, mortgage leads are not really found on any type of list that you can ask the county or ask the state for, because they're just not. Those are for tax lists and things like that. But auction lists for mortgages, you can find them on trustee websites. Okay, so but you have to know which trustee site you're going to, who's holding the auction, which is your trustee, and then go into their website. And then you just really have to hope that they have a list available on the website, which a lot of them do, but not all of them. So this also comes down to picking your market and knowing your market. So if I know in Indiana, where I'm from, which trustees, put their list online, then I can go there to get my list, and then all I have to do is come in and search it. But for those of us, you know, that are doing it in a broad fashion, then auction.com is the way to go. They are the leaders in this field, and the great thing about it is auction.com is free. So I'm going to knock on wood right now and hope that auction.com remains free. So tonight we're going to walk through some things, showing you how to build this list, show you how to keep up with the list to get the results that you can get to your marketing. We're also going to show, I use Google Sheets a lot. You can do the same thing with Excel or any other favorite spreadsheet programs. But Google Sheets is good for me because we have a small team that we work with, and so when we post the link, it's a live link. So if somebody changes something, they can see what we're typing, and we can share that same list. I believe Microsoft does that with Office Live, I think it's called. If anybody knows that, let me know. But uh, but yeah, with Google Sheets is what we use for what we do. So let's get started. Auction.com. So first of all, the thing I'm going to recommend doing, you really have to do it, is create an account. All right, it's a free account. I'm already signed into mine, and when you sign in, it's just an email and password. Then you'll be on your dashboard. This is going to be your dashboard, and then I will show you also how to download your list and what the emails and things look like when the lists, when the results come in, because you're going to find what's called your opening bid, which your opening bid can be a false number. Do not count on that opening bid being accurate all the time, okay? Especially when you see, like tonight, I'm going to give you some examples where you see the opening bid at $100. Sure, that could be the opening bid, but most of the time that is not. That is just a filler bid that she says, Shannon says Excel Online is the Microsoft competitor. Awesome. So is that live? Is Excel Online is it live view? She says yes, it is live view. So there you go. Excel Online is another way that you can do it if you like Excel over Google. But they both do the same thing. So after you're in and you've got created your auction.com account, go ahead and put this in your notes and use. This is what we use. This is what I'll show tonight. There's another website, and I've said it time and time again. PropStream, not PropStream, PropWire, PropWire. PropWire.com is free. They do have a paid version called PropWire Gold. All right. I think it's 70 something dollars a month, maybe. I can't remember. But in what we're doing tonight, there's no reason to get that gold membership, because what they're doing is, I believe they're selling you some different type of skip tracing and maybe a skip trace bundle, something that comes with it. But for the most part, what we're doing here, we're not skip tracing. The only thing we're going to do with PropWire, and I'll show you a trick, is to get the owner names from using PropWire. Okay. And I'll show you that step by step tonight as we go along. So auction.com, the first thing you want to do is pick your market. So we're going to pick on Florida. Don't ask me why, but we're going to pick Florida. And once I'm logged in, all I had to do is type in FL Florida into the search bar. All right. Now, there's going to be two things you're going to want to do here. All right. The first thing you want to do is set your filters. Your filters from left to right are going to be the property type that you want to follow. Okay. And what we do, it doesn't matter. It could be single family, it could be a condo, it could be a multifamily, uh, unit, or it can be land. All right. Remember that there is a lot of auctions, especially in Florida, that land is has surpluses. Okay. So in this box, I'm
When
not
you say land, I assume we're talking undeveloped land.
undeveloped land, infill lots. Yep, absolutely. Undeveloped land because that land has value. Some properties, the land has more value than the home property, right? So definitely. And what actually happens is, let me touch on that for a second. What actually happens with land is number one, Florida's a great state because there's a lot of land and there's a lot of development going on in Florida, one of the number one states in the United States for that kind of thing. But what happens is the property owners' families, the estates, stuff like that, you will have a property that they're keeping up with. But then if somebody passes away, the family and things that they don't even know about the land or they forgot about it. Same thing with the property owner. They might have bought that land 10 years ago, 15 years ago, paid dirt cheap for it. So they kept up with the property. If there, something's going on with the property, they lose it. Then they forgot about the land. Well, the county didn't forget about the land. The state didn't forget about the land. So that land gets auctioned just as well. And then they don't know the surplus even existed, right? For number one, most people don't know about the surplus in a home, right? So we're educating them on that regard. And then we're letting them know that they have potential money left over after that sale. Well, that's, number one. But then the land goes right along with it. So that should be a question that you're actually asking every single contact that you actually contact. Because what you want to do is you want to help them in all ways possible, especially if you're getting them under contract, right? So you want to ask those questions. We see the property right here. Do you have any other properties that are undergoing this tough time? Let them answer the question. The more questions that you ask, the more answers that you get, you can jot that information down, take advantage and help them, right? Take advantage of the information and help them. But also, you're probing. You're probing for other opportunities that you can help them, such as state funds. If they're going through this, they may be going through something with state as well. Or if you're getting them under contract, you can do the state for free if you want to. This is just negotiating things to where you can continue to bring value to the person you're talking to. But for now, we're going to focus on the properties right now and also, the land. So I set my filter for the property type. The next thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to fly through these filters because there's really not a lot to set, but I'm really just educating and I want to show you what these things mean. So when you do see these things, you really won't have much question because that's what it's for tonight. You do not want REO. Can anybody tell me what the REO stands for?
Real estate owned, aka
Real,
bank.
absolutely right. Thanks, Andrew. Real estate owned. So real estate owned does not create an excess proceed. It does not create a surplus. It has to be sold to the third party bidder. So I'm not going to follow real estate owned properties, okay? Because most of the time, those aren't going to be surplus properties. What you want to follow, for the most, you can follow those, but you'll see the results. They have to be sold to a third party to have that surplus be valid back to the original property owner, not back to the bank. It has to be the person because the person is the one you're going to be helping, not the bank. So what you really want to do is focus on your foreclosure homes for sure. And you can even focus on private seller. Private seller can still be a person. It could still be a business. You can still help a business with LLCs and things like that because they're still people, but not entities such as like a lender or a bank. That's not who we're here for.
Yeah, but if it's a private seller, there's not going to be a surplus because the
Uh,
private seller's going to get whatever they sell it for, right?
yes, that's actually true. But if it's a private seller property that goes to auction, that means, that private seller didn't sell it, so it went to auction, and then you're going to get your results. As long as it's, sold to a third party after it's listed for auction, you should create a surplus. Um,
Okay.
Test around with that. That's a good one to bring up.
Well,
I have not actually followed the private sellers, but
yeah, so
we're willing to test it.
you can list your own property through auction.com. So
Really?
those,
I
yeah,
didn't
I
know.
believe that um, those are not managed by any entity at all. So you really only want to follow the foreclosure homes.
Oh, well, hey, that's what we're here for. You heard that. Follow her lead there. She's obviously done that. Follow the foreclosure homes for sure. So we
Which
would want
means
to.
we're dealing with about 283 properties because I'm basically
Hmm.
following you step by step.
Are you?
I've
Yes.
got my computer open. I made myself an account.
Hmm.
I'm following your search thing step by step because
Step
this is
by
how I
step.
learn. I
Absolutely. That's what we're here for, step by step. I'm glad you brought that up. Follow step by step, and that way you learn by doing. Excellent. Thanks for letting us know that.
Donovan, go ahead and click on the foreclosure home so that it does limit it so they can see.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's
because like I said, you're
391
going to have
now.
about 283.
Boom. She's on it.
Right.
She
There you
wasn't
go.
just making that up. She's on it. 283. Yes, step by step. Thank you. The rest of these filters don't really matter. It doesn't matter when the auction's in person or online. That doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter if it's vacant, but you can target a list if you want to do that. But we search in bulk. We want every opportunity in front of us.
So are we
Featured.
going to be making a spreadsheet? Should I go ahead and open a Google sheet?
Yes, absolutely. We're going to do
Okay.
a spreadsheet step by
Okay.
step. Yep, absolutely. Very interactive. Thanks for participating. Absolutely.
Can can I say something here real quick
Absolutely. Yeah,
before?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I used to do this a lot
Uh-huh.
in Texas, and there would be, anywhere from 300 to 700 properties that would pull up when I filter it.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to download the saved assets
Yeah.
and, sort them and whatever. And it gave me all sorts of information. They put in place about 5 months ago a change, and now I can't get it to download assets at all. I reached out to support last month, and they said that there was a change put in um, to limit the number of downloaded assets to 100 or less because they were trying to prevent data scraping.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I tried doing it with just like 40 properties, and I still can't get it um, to download. And so if it could be a problem with the settings on my browser or something that they could have blocked me. I don't know. But if y'all play with this,
Mm-hmm.
start with less than 100 and see if it will download your assets. And, then if you run into that issue, let me know because I would love
Absolutely.
to know if there's something else going on.
Okay, so
Um,
we're not entering properties in one by one manually. We're basically copy pasting data.
well, that's what I'm trying to figure out is does their saved assets download work? Donovan
Were
will
you
get to
were
that.
you downloading them as a CSV?
Yes, it downloads as
Okay.
a CSV file or
Okay.
Excel. I'm not
That's what I was curious about. Okay, so
right.
less than 100 though, huh?
Yeah, well, like I said, that's what they told me, and I haven't been able to get it to work at all. But
Interesting.
if y'all are able to download the assets, let me know. Well, one way or the other, and whether
For
you run
sure.
into a cap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
we're actually going to do it tonight, right now.
Great,
Um,
thank you.
I'm
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So there's two things I want to share with you. One is downloading. Now, this may be a Texas thing. I picked on Florida. I'll try Texas offline to kind of troubleshoot that. But one thing that they did tell us that we noticed was they kept telling me four. Now, I said, well, my specific question was, how many properties can we follow? Okay, I'm going to show you how to follow them tonight, but how many properties can we follow? Therefore, getting the results. And the answer was four. And I almost laughed.
That's nonsense.
That's nonsense. Four properties. So we called back, right? If first you don't succeed, try again. So we called back, heard somebody else's voice, and they said four. So then we switched up the question, right? It's the same thing that you want to, practice with your claimants. If you're not getting the answer on the voicemail, what do? You switch up the message, right? Same thing with your text and things like that. But anyway, we kept getting the answer four. We can only follow four properties. And I said, no, no, no. So then I had my VA call, right? And they told her four. So they told three people four. We went right online and were able to follow hundreds. And I'm thinking, what are they talking about? Anyway, so there is a key difference between downloading the assets and also following to get the results in your email. They told us we could only get 4. Well, I'm going to show you tonight that we've got more than that because
They
right now,
probably
yeah, go ahead.
they probably mean that you can only bid on 4.
You know,
Um,
yeah.
follow is kind of a nebulous term to people who don't do what we do.
Hmm.
They probably think, oh well, you can have up to 4 bids going on right, at one time.
Well,
You
it
know,
sounds to me like this site isn't designed for people who do what we do. It's
You are
designed
correct.
for buyers, for like small time investors and things like that.
yeah, especially being
Well, hey,
free.
here's what happened to me when I was saving them.
Hmm.
I had, I don't know, 400 or 500 saved. And then I realized I had that many. So I went back and I unsaved a bunch of them.
Hmm.
And then when I started back saving them again, there was a glitch to where it wouldn't let me save any more than, I don't know, 2 or 3 dozen. And I contacted support about it. And they really didn't have an answer for me.
Right. I agree. That's that. She made a good point of I think that's why they were telling us 4 because they actually said it. What the answer we got was, and now this was an answer that I didn't, answer back to them. I didn't respond to this answer, but they said, how many properties can one person buy? So I think you're onto something. But the
Yeah.
question we were asking was, how many can we follow? And the answer is not 4. I can tell you right now we're following over 1,200. So it's not the answer. So
Scotty, you
yeah,
probably should go ahead and clear your cache on your browser or try a different browser and see if
yeah,
maybe that resolves your
I,
issue.
Yeah,
I listen,
that's
I
what I
tried
was
everything.
thinking.
yeah.
Was a
Yeah, I
reset.
tried everything, and the support lady, she was really helpful with me. We worked to try to figure it out, but it never happened. Now I haven't done it in a while, and maybe it's straightened out now.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time, they couldn't tell me what was going on.
Yeah, they probably didn't know. I'm not gonna. I'm
That
not gonna.
could
I'm not gonna knock them, but I guess I am. They probably didn't know. Because sometimes when you're dealing with, I've done customer support for the most part of my life, and sometimes you know as well as I do, they're giving you a cookie cutter answer. But if you're a good agent, then
Well,
you actually find
yeah,
out the
listen,
true answer, so you get it next time and give them back.
and I will say this: their customer service gal that I talked to, she was fantastic because
Hmm.
she was really trying to figure it out. Really a big help trying to help me figure it out. But
Hmm.
anyway,
This
that that could have
so
been
just
when
be
they
aware,
rolled
guys.
out those changes.
right?
Yeah,
How long ago was
and
it,
it could
Scotty?
be so. Yeah, do what now?
How long ago was it?
Oh gosh, it was before me and you got together, so it's probably been about 2 months ago.
Well, that's when we kind of started refining this process and digging in. I'm gonna make some notes because these are things that we're definitely going to run across. But I can tell you now we're following over 1,200 in various states. So
Well,
that Texas thing, I'm not sure, but we'll check it out.
here's a question. The customer service people that we're dealing with, are these IT people or are they like customer relations people? Because you're going to get a different answer from the guy programming the code
Hmm.
than you're going to get from someone who's basically surfing the user end of
The
things.
user, yeah, the knowledge base. I'm gonna
Because an
say,
IT person is going to look at someone like me and go, "This is a layman. I have to break this down into like one syllable
sure,
words."
sure.
You know?
Right. That's probably what they told me 4, because you can hear me talking and they're like, well, I think 4, sir,
And
4.
also, well, when I was trying to figure all of that out, I
Yeah.
tried it on 2 different systems. I've got a desktop and a laptop, and
Hmm.
it acted the same way on both.
What kind of laptop and desktop do you have?
It's an older laptop, but a brand new desktop.
There's your problem.
Were
I
you,
got
were you
one.
running
I
the
got
same? Were
one
you
for
running the
sale.
same browser?
Did you hear me, Scotty?
No, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I'm just kidding with you. I said, "There's your problem. You need a new laptop, and I got a couple for
Yeah,
sale.
yeah.
Hit
I
me
know.
up
Well,
on that."
I think I said the opposite. The desktop's the old, the laptop is new.
Okay, yeah. Can you?
Yeah.
I'll sell you
Are
that.
you selling oceanfront property in Arizona along with that, sir?
Yeah. Whatever you want. The price for everything. All right, appreciate it. We're going to do some troubleshooting after that. And hey, if anybody finds out anything as far as what we're doing, we have the event in the group. Put your feedback down underneath the group in the comments and share that knowledge with us. But
By the way, Donovan, I
yeah.
tried to join the group and it wouldn't let me answer the question. So you've got like my attempt to join the group and there are no answers to the questions.
Okay. We'll
So
shoot me a message when we're finished here. We'll get you in.
That'd be great. Thank you. I
Awesome.
just, my husband and I are trying to work with you, so
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there are going to be some growing pains, but we'll get you in. Well, as soon as this meeting's over, send me a DM and we'll get you right in.
sure thing.
All right. Well, let's get on with it. We're going to do auction.com. We're going to get the spreadsheet going because I'm going to show a couple of things that if you've never made a spreadsheet, you definitely need to know how to do this so that you can follow your properties. But I appreciate everybody's participation. That is excellent. We got some good things going. Um, where was it? We're setting a filter. So we're going to go through the featured. Now, featured again is where you can start sort of hot target. You can start setting things to where the auction is within, a week or two. So if you're just following properties and you want to get straight to it, and you don't want to follow a bunch of them, you can get it. It's going to give you, 50 or 60 of them, not 283. There it is, auction ends soon, next 5 days. There you go. So if I click that, this is all live. I can click it. If we click, let's see there, no properties in the next 5 days. So we don't want to do that. I'm going to show you another way to get to your list that you really want to follow from. You can do it from this main screen, but this isn't the most efficient way. I think Ms. Carter talked about going to the event calendar, and that's where you want to go to. That event calendar is going to be found in your buy menu, upper right corner if you're on a desktop laptop. It sounds like Scotty needs to use his phone instead of his equipment. But your event calendar, this is where you want to go. All right. It changes the screen. Now this magic button right here, hide past events, you're going to want to toggle that on and off as you need to, because hiding past events is the previous auctions that have already happened, and you really don't want that. You want auctions that are upcoming, right? So that you're getting ahead of your list and getting ahead of your competition. So you actually want to have it check marked, but if you uncheck it, you can see things that have happened in the past. But you're not going to have, I don't believe you're going to have the bid amount. And that's the big reason you're actually using auction.com is to get the final bid amount so that you can plug it into your spreadsheet. Okay. So that's what that button does. Um, here's where I searched Florida, but you can also change your state right here if you want to, but we're going to stay on Florida for all intents and purposes. Um, Now, this is a date from February 10th. Now, you're probably asking, you just told me to hide past events and you just showed me a date of February 10th. So that's past. So what's up with that? Well, the answer is that auction didn't happen yet. Either it got postponed or things of that nature. I'll show you that in a moment. Um, this column, so this right here is your auction date range. Okay. This event name is the auction itself. Auction.com has these events. I don't know the particular number order, not important, but it's going to be listed with an E. That's going to be the first column in your spreadsheet on the left when you start building your spreadsheet. I'll show you that in a minute. And then on this right-hand column, this is the total assets. Total assets is going to be how many properties in the list.
Thank you.
All right. So this first list here for February 10th, they had 6 properties. The next list had 45. February 17th, upcoming in about a few days, is 8, so on and so forth. So this right here just gave you the list of Florida for the month of February and March and April and all the way up to June. Okay. But that's just a list that you can building to watch. Okay. Pick the list that you want to work with. If it were me, I'd probably put in all of these, especially they're upcoming. So I'm going to show you something as far as the pre-foreclosure strategy, how you can actually contact them now. Okay. There's a strategy to that, but we'll get to that. So we'll start with this list of 6 right here. If I click the event name, that's going to bring up this is where you want to follow them from. If you ever hear me say it in other, trainers and stuff like that, you're going to hear it's called hearting the property. You got to heart the property, and that's what this is. Hearting is what puts it on your follow list, so auction.com knows which properties that you want to get the results from. Okay, so in what we do, we really don't have a limit. You want to heart as many as you can, as many as your heart desires. And this is the tedious task because each one of these properties aren't going to get sold, number one.
Hey,
May
mine
not.
did something funny.
What's yours do?
It's showing February 10th, February 12th, and February 13th.
Yeah. So when you click that, it's going to give you um I think it's like a week or so or 5 days, the next 5 days. But
Mm-hmm.
then if you go back to that 45 list, I'll do it here. If I go to properties 45, it's still February 10th, but it's a different event number. So that's a different
Okay.
auction. Now, I don't know what the letters mean, but I'm assuming that's probably either a different region or a different time of day. So that's like the day, and auction B is the second auction. Or it could be a secondary auction where it didn't sell. Oh, this is what I meant to tell you. A lot of auctions start at 10 o'clock in the afternoon. But that could be like the auction. If it didn't sell, then they're going to re-auction it again at 3 o'clock or something like that. That's a good question to actually call auction.com and either use the chat in the bottom right or just give them a phone call. They don't charge you for that, and that's a good thing to know. Maybe some bonus information that you uncover with that question. But let me go back to the one with 6 on it. Boom, here we go. And then the first thing that I do actually before I start harding my properties, you want to change that to 48. You want everything in front of you, right? You want to work efficiently so you don't have to keep scrolling and changing the page over and over again. Um, Shannon says that's number is probably the county number. Hey, you could be right. You could be right. She's dropping some gems there. So if you're targeting a county, you learn those numbers. You know which numbers to follow. Good one.
Well, it
Um,
also has event times and locations
hmm
listed.
hmm
So it'll give you the address of it'll give you the place name of where the auction is being held,
Good one.
and then it has like venue details.
hmm that's going to come up also in the spreadsheet we build, but it's not going to. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you how to get that. Good one. Good point. Let me make a bullet point because I'm going to show you a trick here that shows you more information about that in case it doesn't come on our spreadsheet. But after I get done following my properties, like I said, we're just going to do 6. This is the magic button right here. Download inventory, and then that's going to bring up your computer. And if you look at the file name, it has the auction event number in it, E27837, and it has your date right there, 2025 13th, and then your file number. So that's your auction date and your event number. Okay. So when we save it, it's going to go to the computer, and then you want to put that into your spreadsheet program, and that's where auction.com has its magic.
Okay, can you repeat that one more time? You save the properties and then what?
Yeah, so I first thing I do is change it to 48 maximum view. Then I go through and heart everything that I want to follow to make sure auction.com remembers what I want the results from. So
Okay, where do you change it to 48?
right here. See it? It used to
Oh,
be it
okay,
defaults
48 per page. Okay.
it defaults to 12. Change that to 48. Then
Okay.
you do then you're hearting following, and if you need to go to page number 2 and 3 or 4, whatever it is, follow your properties
Yeah.
and then download your inventory.
Okay.
If you download your inventory is going to be all of the properties that it's listing in this schedule, not just the
Hmm.
ones that are on your screen. You'll see that here in just a second, I do believe. But download your inventory. That creates your spreadsheet file, and then you want to, at least for Google Sheets, you want to import that into your Google Sheets. Okay. It looks like this when we're done, but I'll do it live so you can see step by step how to do it. So what I'm going to do is go to my file menu, choose import. I'm going to choose upload, browse my computer, go back to my file that I just saved, right? Just showed you the name of the file, what to look for. If you want to create a folder for these type of things, you can create a folder so you know where all your downloads are going if you want to, and then you want to open it. It's going to ask you where you want to put this information. Well, if I already have a spreadsheet open, I really don't want it to go to another spreadsheet. I want it to go to what's already open, which is going to create a tab at the bottom row. I call them mini sheets. They're actually called sheets. Spreadsheet is the entire thing. A sheet is the tabs inside your sheet. Okay. So what you want to do is, since I've already done it, I want to insert a new sheet. Okay. So I click that. You don't really have to worry about the theme. You can play with that if you want to. I think it does something with the columns and titles. But I'm just going to leave it the way it came, and I'm going to import data. It's going to import the sheet that auction.com gave me, Well, we answered our question. It was the properties, the 6 properties that are on the screen that we just followed, not the ones that are hearted, but it's the ones that are on the page, right? In for that auction event. So now, the very first thing that I do, this is just a gem and a tip for what I've learned for my spreadsheets and stuff like that. Number one, we don't need this junk. You can delete that if you want. Uh, but the
Okay,
first thing I do,
it's
yeah,
it's taking me when I open the file, it
uh-huh,
takes me to Microsoft Excel, which I don't want because I don't have the subscription for it.
okay.
And I don't see a way to import it to Google Docs, to Google Sheets.
When you have the option to save it, change the file type to CSV.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's a good one. CSV. Um, you're gonna see something that I show you on PropWire too, where that CSV and Excel file makes a big difference. Because I think it's a bug in their system where they don't. They say they like them both, but they prefer one over the other. But when you import it, when you download that file, if you're using Google, then you import it, and then you can put it into your sheets that way. Okay. But yeah, once you get it there, see how this scrolls and it's disappearing. Everything's disappearing. The very first thing that I do in Google Sheets every single time is I lock this front row. I click the row, which is number one. You want to go up to View, Freeze, one row. Now, see how much nicer that is? It keeps my columns. So if I had a bunch of properties in here, I can see what I'm doing, right? Instead of having to go up to the top and remember. So just again, that's View, Freeze, row one, and it locks that. It's called your header bar. It locks your
Donovan,
headers. Yep.
does Google Sheets have the same option as Excel does to format as a table?
Yes.
Um,
Yep.
because if it does, I know in Excel, if you format as a table, you can set it up so that every other row is a different color.
Yeah.
And so it's easier to follow.
Yeah. Absolutely. Good point. Set it up as a table, or you can do conditional format. It does the same thing. Yeah. Setting up as a
Oh
table.
no, it's the alternating colors in that menu, probably.
Yeah. You can even set filters if you want to get fancy. You can set a filter if you want. But yeah, good one. I do like the way tables look. They just look cleaner to me. But the way I do it, I actually set my headers up. My VA, she gets I get on her nerves with that. But I'm a big stickler on, when I look at information, I want to look at it. I want to figure it out. I want to know what's in front of me when I see it, so we can move on with what we need to do, right? But yeah, clear formatting should take me back and getting rid of the table. Too much. How do you get rid of the table? Revert to unformatted data. There we go. But yeah, when I actually do it, this is truly what I do. I have a different color for each one of my spreadsheets. Yellow is tax, mortgages are burgundy. Uh, Preforeclosure, I think, is green. Bankruptcy is black. But anyhow, I do change this when I do my spreadsheets. Like I said, change it to blue, and I change the text to white. I just like the way it looks. And then I click bold, and then I click my font. That's the way every single one of my spreadsheets look with a different color. And I lock the row. But you can see this is the information that auction.com gave you. It's right there, right? Now you're not going to need all this information when you build your list. You can clean it up whenever you want to. I'm going to have another training. I'm not sure if it's going to be public or private. Probably, I don't know. I don't know yet, but it's going to show you how to use this data in a different way. Okay. Stay tuned for that one. But for now, this is your opening bid. And this would normally say nothing, but I'm going to put sold price because I'm getting ready to create this so I can input information on the fly because auction.com is going to give you the emails one by one when properties are sold. That way you're ready ahead of time, right? To fill in your spreadsheet. So what I do is opening bid, sold price, and I already have a column ready for this bad boy that says surplus. Okay. This is my color, but I'm not going to spend too much time on color. What you can see is just what I'm used to doing, so I'm doing it. But those are the columns. So you got your bid, sold price, and surplus. Now, if you're opening, like I said, if your opening bid is $100, you probably want another column in here called debt. because if you find debt somewhere else when you're doing your research, because obviously if this thing sells for, 50 grand, you're not going to have a $49,000 surplus. I can almost bet you, right? It's going to be something. They're just doing this maybe for filler until that auction gets closer, and then that number may change. But that's part of what you have to do is debt research when you contact somebody. Because here's another way you can present the information. If you don't know what this debt or opening bid truly is, and I'm going to show you a gem here just a second, um, that's what you're contacting somebody about. So if you're actually contacting them, if I wanted to contact them now, what's stopping me? Nothing. The auction is next week. If I want to call this person tomorrow, skip trace them up, there's the address and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, hey, we noticed something is going on. Now, you can script how you contact them any way you want to. A lot of people will contact not telling them that you're following a list and not telling them that you see the foreclosure and things like this. I don't really, it doesn't matter to me. Like if it's next week and I'm calling you for a reason, you might as well tell them because if it's, if you're following something 30 days from now, I may say it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to say it. But when you're calling them after the fact and they're saying, well, how do you know I went through foreclosure? What list are you that's when you might want to take your time with the information because the sale is done, right? You can see right here if this property doesn't sell and I'm calling them ahead of time, you might tee them off because they may be in the position to where they just, uh, redeemed it or something like that and got caught up. So you don't want to focus too much on telling them that, hey, the sale's next week and blah, blah, blah. But that's how you approach your customer or your client. But here's where you have your date and things like that. So this is going to be sold in 2 days. Well, today it says closed. And then I should be getting an email with that. If I had that hearted already, then you would get an email and it shows you that bid. And here's what this email looks like. And then I'm going to show you one of the tricks that I found with PropWire after that. So right here is my email. This is not that property. This is one that we, like I said, we're testing this. So we're getting a ton of emails. But this is what it looks like when we get the results. This is the header. Can everybody see the email?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is
Yes, I
exactly
can
what it
see.
looks like. Okay. You're going to notice that a lot of them say transaction update. Transaction update may be that it's whatever. Auction was postponed, auction was canceled, auction was this, auction was reverted back to beneficiary, meaning the bank bought it back before the auction, right? That's what beneficiary is going to be. But this right here is a good one. That's why I highlighted in red so I could get right to it. But this is transaction update, and this on the right hand side of that email. And if you have the ability, you can move your email window over, but that's sold to third party. That is what you want to follow. Okay, third party, those are the ones. So then here's your result. The property you saved, XYZ Street in Bowie, Maryland, sold for 180. Okay, so if I had that on my auction spreadsheet target list, I would be copying and pasting that right there. I'd go back to my list and I'd find that address, right? And then there's my sold price. Okay, you get
You can
fancy.
use the search at the top of your email to limit to that sold to third party
Ooh.
um, phrase, and that'll help you a lot.
Say that one more time. Say that one
Right
more time.
above where you are, that search bar,
Oh, right here.
if you type in sold to third party, it will limit what you're looking at to just those.
Look, here I am going right. Looky there. See, I know we're here for a reason. Boom, shakalaka. Thank you.
You're
Sold to third
welcome.
party.
Also,
Hmm?
if you load the auction.com app on your phone or iPad,
Hmm?
that would allow you to participate in the auctions, but it also allows you to go and look at your saved assets at the end, and it will show you the opening bid and the closing sale price. So if you miss that information, then you can go fill that in. You know what the gap is.
Right, right. You said right on the app, auction.com app.
Yes,
Sweet.
because you log in with the same email as you on the computer,
Uh-huh.
but you have access to the live online bidding,
Hmm.
and it'll show what the opening bid was and all the intermediate bids, and then what the final sale price is.
Man,
So
that's
you can
strong.
fill in both of those.
That is strong right there because remember that $100, a lot of times that's going to be false. That's a great tip that you just dropped right there. Appreciate that. I'm gonna try that after the call. I have the app on there.
You can also, when you're looking at those, a lot of times you can see um, if there are large jumps in the bids
Hmm.
and they're kind of odd numbers. A lot of times that's because the trustee is there kind of bumping up
Yeah,
the bid to
yeah,
make sure that it sells.
right. Yeah,
And so then you can kind of figure out, okay, so what's the real opening bid?
right.
And then
Exactly.
you know that if that gap is any bigger, any smaller.
Wait a minute, where do you find this?
In the auction.com app,
Okay, so you have to get an app for your phone?
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's saying you can.
Supposedly,
Yeah, to get more information like that opening bid more accurate because what she's saying is basically you're acting like you're there and you really want to know what the opening bid is so you can bid, right? So you're getting the opening bid as they're bidding because you're watching it, right? Is that right?
right, right. But they do remote bidding also. So, I mean, you can be in Indiana and bidding on a property in Texas
Uh-huh.
on the app. You can see the bids that are going through. And so it gives you access to that. Now, I was told by somebody at auction.com last month
Hmm.
that you can actually bid on your computer browser, but I haven't actually gotten in and looked at that since then because, I haven't got to a sale yet.
Right.
But if this information is accessible on the website, that would be even better.
That would
I
be.
haven't looked at it yet.
I think it is. That's something else that we can follow and kind of give a, update in the comment. Let me write that down. She said app, and you're talking about desktop bidding. We'll check it out. Sweet. All right, all right. Yeah, let's move it forward. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Love it. So here is the trick. Now notice, auction.com didn't give me property owner names, did they? Nope. Just
Nope.
give me basic information, property, some other stuff, auction date, so on and so forth. Now here's the trick that I learned to get your property owner names. Now I will preface this and give you a fair warning. It is not 100% accurate. Okay, I repeat, this is not 100% accurate. It's pretty doggone good, but it's not 100%. I'm going to tell you now, but I'm going to show you, like I said, I'm going to show
I'm
you
guessing it's
three
searched
ways to
by
do it.
APN or address.
Uh, yeah, let me show you that and then you'll see what I'm talking about. Basically, I'm going
Okay.
to show you how to use PropWire, which is free, propwire.com to get the owner name. All right.
Okay.
So what I'm doing right now. So what I do, here's my list, right? So there's a trick to XLS files and a trick to CSV. If I download a CSV, it's going to download whatever remember I talked about mini sheets at the bottom? It's going to download that file, that sheet, which is what I want. If you download a XLS, it's going to download all of your sheets and it's going to be way too much. So that's why I actually think PropWire prefers CSVs over Excel files for that reason. But here's what I'm going to show you. So remember, go to propwire.com. You're going to need to make a free account. Okay, go ahead and do that. I'm already signed into mine. So what I'm actually going to do is take this list and download it as a CSV. Now I'm going to tell you also that PropWire has some kind of a bug, but we're going to work through it because I have another one that I've already done months ago. But I'm going to name this, I'm just going to name it test 3. Test 3. Okay. And you see it. Boom. Now, if I'm logged into PropWire, what you want to do is
Welcome to
go
Pro.
over to your, not there, go to your profile icon, open up your menu, property lists. So what we're going to do is we're going to import this same list to PropWire. And when I get done scraping it, it's going to give you the owner name. All right. So you want to import the list.
Property list.
Yep. Click on upload. It's going to tell you, like I said, it's going to tell you that it likes all this stuff, but they're lying. Test number 3, open. Takes not long because it's only 6 properties. And then here's where you need to map it. Okay. Mapping just means basically making the system realize or understand what you're feeding it. So the address, got to have that. So what you want to do, you're mapping it from the list that you gave it to the stuff that their system recognizes. Basically, you got to speak its language. So property address to property address, right? City is property city, state is state, and zip is zip. If you wanted to change those headers over here because you know what you're going to do with it, that's fine. You don't have to because I just showed you how to map it. But that's what you're doing. You're feeding it the information so it can know where to find the information. And then definitely you want to click the first row contains column headers because again, that's what these are. Row number 1 will be your headers. So yes, I want to click that. Then you want to click continue. And now here's where you want to click a name for your list, Florida Test 3. If you had a pre-existing list and you wanted to append it or add this to an existing list that you already had in PropWire, you can do that. But I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend making a new list for each auction that you follow. So you keep everything separate. Now, here's where they're trying to sell you things, what business isn't trying to sell you things. So would you like to skip trace it? PropWire does have skip tracing built in. I want to say it's 10 cents a record. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like it. So do what you wish, but I'm just going to import it. So I'm going to click no, just import. And then now, are you sure you want to import without skip tracing? Yes. Import only. 6 properties, and then you want to complete your import. Import's underway, takes a few minutes. You can watch it by going to the My Activity screen right here. And then since I only had 4 properties, it's already done. If I had 100 on there or something, it may take 3 or 4 minutes, but it's ready to go. So here's where you want to pay attention to here. Remember, I uploaded 4 and 2 properties failed for one reason or another. And that's the bug that I think PropWire has. I'll probably send a message to their support if I can't figure it out. But for
I found that they have issues sometimes if it's spelled out drive and it's only DR in their system or things like that. So that could be why they failed.
That's a good one. Yeah, definitely. See, we're going to learn things as we go. This list is ready. I'm going to view my list. Good one. Thank you for that. Now here's the same list that I uploaded, right? Okay. But you're going to notice that PropWire is more real estate based when you're looking up information. Auction.com is based where it's going to give you the property address because you're not concerned with the owner name. Okay. We're going to use this here in a minute. So this is my list. 4 properties selected because I want to get them all. And then I'm going to download my list. And here it is again. Do you want to skip trace and download or do you want to download only? I want to download only. And here's another one.
They are
They're loving it.
persistent, are they not?
They are, right? I'm surprised they didn't bounce around and, point fingers at it. But anyway, I want to download only. Now, here's the thing. If you're working the pre-foreclosure strategy, now here's where I'll just ask a couple of questions before we see what this looks like. I'm not sure if anybody in the room I know Shannon's going to answer this question, and I know Scotty might not. So you're out. Don't answer this. This is for our guest today. What information do you think that I would want to know about a property if I was working the pre-foreclosure strategy? What am I actually looking for? Let's break that down. Does anybody just for your own in your own words, what do you think we're looking for? What makes sense?
For what? Say again?
Yeah, so if I'm working something pre-foreclosure, like the auction's not done yet, but I'm trying to target a list so I can call them ahead of time, like now. The auction's next week, but I don't want to wait until I get the opening bid and all this other stuff. I want to get ahead of people. What information would I be looking for that I think is going to create a surplus? How is a surplus created? What would be the
Contact.
facts? Go ahead.
Contact,
Contact?
which to me would come down to email, phone.
Yeah. Oh, you mean, yeah. So I'm okay, great. Yeah, you're right. Contacting the person, yes. Stay in contact with your seller with their email and their number to text and things. I'm talking about the physical property itself. What facts and figures, hint, hint, hint. What about the mortgage that they owe do I think is going to create a surplus?
Well, if the mortgage that they owe is non-existent or perhaps small, you need to know what is owed on the property.
Exactly.
It also might help to know whether the previous owner is deceased or not.
Uh-huh. What else?
The equity in the home,
Who said that?
Jennifer.
Who?
Jennifer.
I forgot to boot you out of this question. Yes, you're right. No, thank you. I appreciate you. Equity. So I think that was Amber. She's right. If I have low debt, but I have high equity, meaning high value, then the spread in the middle is the potential surplus, right? That's your
Mm-hmm.
math. That is how you work the pre-foreclosure strategy. Low debt, high equity equals potential surplus. Go ahead and call them. If the auction's happening next week, folks, get them on the phone. Hey, it looks like this property, whatever your intro is, it looks like this property has an auction date. Are you just letting this thing go?
So
Are you
like
trying to save it? What's your plans? That's the questions you
so
want to ask.
like to use ourselves as an example. My husband and I own our property free and clear.
Yep.
Let's say for the sake of argument, it went to auction due to like tax or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, whatever they would get over and above the taxes
Uh-huh.
would be the surplus.
Correct.
So if you could call someone ahead, if you could call the property owner ahead of time and go, okay, what's your plan? You
Hmm.
don't really want to lose a home that you own free and clear.
Right. And just have a normal conversation. You hit it right on the head. Just listen to them, and the more rapport you build, they'll have a conversation with you. They may think you're nosy, but that again, the better you get at making your intro, you didn't barge in. They don't know you, but you might call them with some empathy. Number one, hey, um, we're real estate investors and things like that. We notice that this property looks like it has an auction date, 7 days from now. Hey, we wanted to give you a call just to see, are you saving the property? Are you just going to let it go? What are your plans? And be quiet.
Yeah.
Let them.
And
In a
just let the
situation
and
like you're
just
talking about, Amber, you you would probably see that the trustee sales would be like from an HOA lien if you didn't pay
yeah,
your
an HOA
homeowners
lien.
association. Yeah,
I use
not
tax
tax.
I use tax as an example because we don't have an HOA. My husband would never live in a
Oh,
place that has
right.
an HOA.
Smart man.
You could not pay me to live on
He's,
an
he's,
HOA.
Yeah,
um,
can't
we
have
got
your
out of
mailbox.
California because we got tired of being told how to squat piss. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Can't have your property address. No, no. Here's a better one. You have to have your property address on the curb near your driveway on the left-hand side, and it has to be painted in blue. Go kick rocks.
Dude, they're nothing but crooks.
Yeah, right. So anyway,
It's ridiculous. We live out in the sticks because, well, to be quite frank, I hate people. A person is great. People like a person one on one is great. Like I enjoy talking to you guys,
huh,
but
we're special tonight.
honestly, honestly, most people you get them in groups of more than three or four, and they turn into assholes.
Right. That's right. You're absolutely right. We can chit chat for a few after this. Let's.
Sorry, I didn't mean.
No, you're fine. We're gonna put this online, so let's. I'm gonna move it forward, but I appreciate it. So you're right. So low debt or low lender fee or what you owe to the bank or whatever. Low with a high equity value is a potential surplus, and I'm gonna show you how PropWire helps you with that information. So in this screen here, it's asking you, okay, you want the property owner information, right? They're going to give you that by default. But what else information do you want? Okay. Well, yeah, hey, we're in surplus, so we want foreclosure details. Hey,
Mortgage
I
foreclosure
probably
or
want
financials.
exactly. You want the tax details because that might indicate tax delinquency. So you might have another debt because remember this is only mortgage based, so you have a tax debt. That's another lien. MLS listing details. I could pick that. It's the only one left, but that's going to give you probably five or six more columns that you'd have to delete from your list, right? But here's the key. If you
Holy
have that
Hera.
information, then that means that it's listed for sale. They're trying to sell it with a realtor. Well, hey, if the auction's next week, how long you had it listed, it's PropWire is going to tell you that. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and click it just so you can see what it looks like for all intents and purposes. Because like I said, it's just the last column and I'm going to download my properties. List is being generated. Now, if you dismiss it, it's going to go back to this screen that you was on. You really want to, if you just want to wait, there it is. And you want to go to your activity. Now you can see that's my list. And now you can go download that same list, right? Back to your computer. It's already going to give you a pretty good name. It has the date in there, tells you where it came from, PropWire export. I'm going to save it. And now I'm going to re-import that back to my spreadsheet program, but I want to put it on a different tab because it's going to create a different tab. So you want to do just that. Import, upload, browse, takes you to your computer, find that list that you just did, which was that 4 properties that it got, number 2 failed. Open, let it load. Now this is the part you do want to make sure you get into your screen. You want to insert a new sheet. Remember, these sheets at the bottom are sheets. And then you want to import. I leave that by default right here and import the data. It's going to create another sheet, and there's more information about that property that you just got from auction.com, just like that. So I'm going to do what I do, bold my headers, lock them, row number 1, and there's my list. My address, my city, state, zip, county, all the good stuff. It even tells you what type of property is, residential or land. It's also going, remember, they have skip tracing in their system. There's legal description in your APNs right there, right? Now, this information is what PropWire is giving you about that same property. But what did we want? Why did we do this? We did it for the owner name, which is right there.
Also, when you're freezing those, you don't have, you can freeze just the top row, like you said, but
Yep.
you can also freeze like rows and columns so that it
Yes.
keeps that address on the left-hand side.
Yes.
And that's really helpful
Yep.
when you're trying to scroll, you don't lose track of which row you're on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to do that if I can remember how. It's freezing columns, right? Freezing. Yeah. So basically, yeah. So I have 2 columns. So you want to tell it what to freeze. So you want to freeze up to 2 columns. And just like she said, there's your bracket. And now when you're organizing your list, thanks for bringing that up. Yes. Now you're boom. But
I
that's
know in
it.
Excel you can
There's
put
your
your
owner's name
cursor
there
in a
listed
particular.
too.
What's that? Say again.
I was saying there was your owner name listed too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm showing you. That's the reason that, well, that's the main reason we sent it to PropWire, upload, download back to get the owner name. Now I take my properties and match them up, go back to my auction.com list if you want, because that's what you were building, right? And then put your column for your owner names, just like that. Now, I will tell you this ahead of time. Be careful because it's not always the exact same order. So you don't want to be putting the wrong property with the wrong address. Make sure that you're following, your addresses. But that's why she also said to lock it, so I know Ohio Avenue is Karen Jones. So when I go back, Ohio Avenue, I know that I'm going to put that owner name right there because there it is, Karen Jones. So if I had my columns, put your owner name right there. So what you're doing is you're following your list. You're building your own list. You're getting ready for that, sell price to drop so that you can call Karen, and now you know her name because remember, PropWire does have a little bit of skip tracing in it, and there you are. Now you're fully equipped to call her. Now let me show you a little bit of how to use this data if you're going to call them ahead of time. All right.
Now, did you get the phone number with that or?
No. PropWire does have skip tracing in there, but like I said, I don't like it. It's not very accurate. There's other better skip tracing providers that you can
Okay.
use. Now, the good thing is when you skip trace, 9 times out of 10, you have to have your columns separated. You need to have your address in separate columns like street, city, state, and zip code. But if you actually know a little bit more about skip tracing, you actually don't want to skip trace the property address. What address do I want to skip trace? The hint is on the screen.
Mailing address.
You want to skip trace the mailing address. Can you tell me why?
Because it could be a rental property, investment property.
Correct. And who am I trying to reach? The tenant or the owner?
The owner.
Correct.
Absolutely.
100%. Skip trace the mailing address. Who's paying the bill? Who's paying the tax bill? Who's paying whose mortgage is it? Whose name is the mortgage in? Things like that. So you're right. You want to skip trace your mailing addresses for those reasons that she just said. You're absolutely right. So we actually covered it all, folks. That's it. That's how you do it. You just have to
So
build
how
it
are
one by one.
skip tracing their number exactly then?
So basically, you can upload this same spreadsheet to a skip trace program, and then you're going to do the
Okay.
same thing. You map your columns, property address to mailing address. A lot of skip trace programs will say, are you skip tracing the property address in the mapping system, or are you skip tracing the mailing address? So then you want to tell it, okay, you'll see it. You'll see mailing address, and then you map your columns to what it's asking for. So then you just match up mailing address street, mailing address city, mailing address state. Then you hit go. Then it's going to spit back another spreadsheet, right? But then you have your phone numbers to call. Now, if you're not doing all of that, of course, you can skip trace free using truepeoplesearch.com, cyberbackgroundchecks.com, things like that. You can basically pop that address right in there, go to there, and whatever information they have, which can be accurate, especially if the person hasn't moved yet. But 30 days and 45 days from now, when people move and things happen, that True People Search is not going to be your best friend. You want to use different services for that because they're not going to update that fast. I don't know the exact date, but True People Search, in my opinion, you're probably looking at about a 4 to 6 month lag if something changes. But your other programs that you're putting in your mailing address, that's another reason you skip trace mailing address because typically that's not going to change unless they move out of state or things like that. But either way, am I going to have the same mailing address if I did a foreclosure, my property foreclosure today? Am I going to have the same mailing address a month from now, 2 months from now? Probably so. That's why you want to skip trace your mailing address. And just like Amber, I think it was Amber, you want the owner. You don't necessarily want the current tenant or who's living in the property. You want the owner name. So that's why you want to skip trace mailing address. But there you have it. That is
You
how
can
you
also
do
do
foreclosure.com.
parcel search
Yes.
on
Yep.
most county websites,
hmm
and it'll give you the owner of the parcel number
hmm
and not necessarily the tenant. Like it'll say who owns the parcel,
Right.
and then you can go from there.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. That's
That's the
another way to do it.
Because
information that's being pulled in here, Amber.
Yep.
Um, the that's where they're pulling all of this data from. PropWire does. They aggregate all of that data.
Yeah.
So Donovan,
which is
what is
great
your?
if it's working for you, but it's not working for me.
Oh
Oh,
no.
we can go over it another time and troubleshoot. We'll get you going how to do this.
That would be great because
No problem.
I'm having a little bit of trouble here.
No problem.
What is your favorite skip tracing service, Donovan? I remember you telling me about Direct Skip. Is that still your favorite?
Yes. Direct skip is my favorite, and I am testing another one that was recommended, and I'll talk a little bit about it. I'm going to tell you the reasons why I like direct skip. Number one, the information that I get is pretty accurate. You know, it's not 100%. No skip trace is going to be 100%. But direct skip for many reasons. Number one, they give you 500 free credits when you sign up. That is 500 skip traces that you can do for free. That's number one. I haven't seen anybody else give that much of a free trial. So direct skip, that's one. That's 500 properties, guys. That's enough to last you a month or two, depending on how much skip tracing you're doing. Well, right there. Number two, direct skip is lightning fast. When you upload your list, you do have to have your addresses and mailing addresses in columns, things like that, and your owner name. You do want the owner name in columns for direct skip to map it correctly. Um, the third reason, outside of just accuracy and speed, is they have two functions, which is called DNC and litigator. It's like I want to say like a penny per skip. No, first of all, and the price. It's like 10 or 12 cents per record. When I say record, that means address. So if I was to upload this list right here, it's going to cost me 40 cents to skip trace, 40 or what is it? How many properties? 4 or 5 properties. So it's 10 cents a property. They do flash sales where you can do like 2,500 for a little bit less, but nobody's doing that. I just do the 10 cent. But anyway,
What's the difference on the DNC versus the litigator version, I guess?
yeah, absolutely. So DNC, do not call list. Okay, we're actually going to talk about this on Sunday night in our private group meeting. But the DNC list means basically folks who have signed up and says, don't call me with telemarketing, right? Now, again, we're going to train well on how to present messages where we're not selling anything, that we're actually calling them as advocates to ask them questions. And then when your value outweighs the reason why you're calling, they get over that. I'm calling to help you. I'm not calling to sell you anything. And in our business, if you're not charging them up front and you're working on contingency, then again, you're not selling anything, you're offering. But you have to do that in a manner that they accept it. The people who accept
Right.
your phone call and the people who have the conversation with you, they're not, I'm not going to say all the time, they're not worried about all this DNC stuff. They're going to be glad you called, right? Because
Right.
you're helping them recover funds. Now,
But you still have to conduct yourself where you're not putting yourself at odds against the rules, so to speak.
exactly. Yep. You have to, there's a
Yeah.
fine line there. So that's the do not call list. It's really for telemarketer blocking and stuff like that. Now you asked another question. That's a two-part question. So litigators, it's right there in direct skip. Litigators are people who make a practice of suing you for calling them. So be careful when you call because it's going to sound like this. They're going to play ball with you on the first call. They may play
Uh-huh.
ball with you on the second call, and they may play ball with you on the third call. Okay, that's $500 per phone call that you just made and broke the do not call list. So basically, you want to verbally get them to answer questions on the very first call to invite that second call. Now, how does that
Okay.
sound? What does that sound like? What's one question, one sentence that you can ask them on a call that puts you in the okay bucket? What's a question I can ask you?
I would think something along the lines of, "Are you aware that that there's an overage as a result of this foreclosure on this property? Is that something that you remember owning or something along those lines?"
That's correct. That's absolutely. So that's your first call. Now, if we don't make an agreement and stuff like that on the first call, but you want to call again to check on them on, let's say you called on Monday, you want to call on Friday, what am I going to ask them on Monday to put me in an okay list or get me out of the do not call list on Friday? What am I going to ask you?
Is there a good time that I can reach out
Exactly.
again?
Exactly. It's a good time
Yeah.
that I can follow up, just see how you're doing.
Follow up. There's a
Exactly.
follow up. Yeah.
As soon as they say that you're okay to follow up, can they sue you for calling them? No, because you just gave me permission. You
No,
just
because they
opted in.
invited you.
Exactly. You just opted in. So now that do not call list is non-existent for your phone
So,
call.
so Donovan
Yep.
would also asking, is it okay if I send you some information?
Exactly. That's
Fall
what
under
you.
that
Mhm. Exactly.
umbrella
That's
as well?
that's what you
Okay.
want to do on your first call. Your first call, 9 times out of 10, is just simply education. You're introducing yourself to them. You're educating them on something they may or may not know, seeing how they respond to that, asking if you can follow up, capturing some kind of contact information such as email, what if you like email or if it's text or
To put
something
it in
like that.
blunt terms,
Yeah,
Would that
gathering
also be a good
information.
would that also be a good time to ask if they prefer call, text, or email?
absolutely.
Because if they're like, hey, I don't really like talking on the phone,
Uh-huh.
but we could correspond via email, is that good too?
Absolutely. Sounds like you've been
Awesome.
watching that 7 steps to contact clients video.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
In
You're right.
layman's terms, in layman's terms, you're gathering intel and you're basically laying out bait.
Exactly. For all intents and
I'm
purposes, you
I'm
are
always
laying.
really hesitant on phone calls because I get really nervous talking to people.
Sure. Yeah.
That's
No,
okay, babe. I got this.
you can text. Absolutely. But you're right. You want to speak to them in the manner that they speak to you because if I send you an email and you don't respond a week, well, that doesn't do anything. But if I ask you that question and you say text me and you text them and then they respond back because that's how they want to be talked to, then yes, you did your job with creating quality contact and a quality conversation. Absolutely. Good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Deborah,
Deborah
what you
has a
got?
question. Yeah.
Oh, my question is, I used two of the contacts, surplus. One was in Juno Beach for over 600,000 something, and I skip traced both the owners, and it looks like both of them are deceased.
Hmm.
And I looked at the court documents. It said that it was through the guy's name, Mr. Paul Redditch.
Hmm.
And later on, he added Barbara Hunt
Hmm.
as the co-owner on the deed,
Hmm.
but both of them are deceased. And so I was looking at that at first. I thought, well, his kids have the first dibs because I didn't see, I don't know if there's a will or not. and I didn't know if it was in probate or anything. I didn't see that. It's a surplus that just came out like on the 9th of January,
Mm.
or no, the 15th of January. I was wondering, how do you determine who's the next of kin?
Oh, got it. Okay, yeah. So that's a good question. So um, let me wrap this up, and then we'll have a Q&A for anybody who wants to stick around. Appreciate you
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Appreciate everybody for attending tonight. We will get this uploaded to YouTube and a replay, and then I'll tag you in it, and everybody knows it. But I appreciate it. We have completed the auction.com step-by-step walkthrough, courtesy of excessproceeds.com. And again, for anybody who has any surplus questions, stick around. We'll stick around for another 15 minutes with a Q&A. So Deborah asked, how do we determine who is the next of kin? So basically, in this kind of scenario, you want to, number one, you can read your obituaries. It's going to tell you, right, that if they have it online, it's going to tell you who are they survived by. Survived means who's the family that's still alive, immediate family, and also some cousins and things
I
like that.
did.
But you also want to use legacy.com can help you. Ancestry.com can help you, but those are paid services. So this is where, if you're not paying for this information, this is where it comes down to using your skip trace results and using the relatives to go through the relatives to ask those questions with the relatives that your skip tracing will provide. That's another benefit of direct skip. It's going to give you the client, whoever you put in that you're trying to reach. It's going to give you their information that you're looking for, uh, the best that it can. There is a feature in direct skip that I almost forgot to tell you. It's called matched name, and that is your indicator. Okay, direct skip is going to pull and try to match the name that you're inputting also with the mailing address. But if you look at you got to click matched name though. Then it's going to tell you the input name that you put in there, Tom Smith, and then the matched name is going to lead you and tell you the rest of the information. If it's a matched name Tom Smith, then that way you know that information is valid for Tom Smith. It's called matched name in direct skip, so you know what information it's giving you. But yeah, use your relatives and give them a call and let them know, what's going on and that you have your condolences and stuff like that, and let them know what you're doing. So use the relatives and say, hey, I'm tracing this for a reason. They have this, uh, whatever your script is going to say, and then let them tell you, well, yeah, they had a sister or brother and things like that. So use your relatives to your advantage. And also remember, you can use your Facebook too for the client, and also look at the friends list for those same relatives that you might find in your obituaries and the relatives that you find in your skip trace results. Yeah.
I have a class in 5 minutes, but I can
Hmm.
email you,
Yeah, email us, send it over.
or
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Send it over to support at excessproceeds.com. I'll put that in the chat.
Yeah, because my last class um is tonight, and then next week I should be able to come. Um, are you all meeting every Wednesday night?
We are in our claims company. They're part of our claims company, Recover Property
Oh,
Solutions. We meet Sunday evenings.
oh,
Yeah, that's what they
okay.
were
I
asking
would
us to
like
do.
to come if I could come, if I'm allowed to come next week.
You might be able to. I'll get with you after the call because I think we were talking about some research opportunities for you. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
she was asking about Wednesday night, not Sunday night.
Oh, Wednesday night. Wednesday night, I do plan on doing another one Wednesday night. We don't do it every Wednesday night, but I do have some pre-scheduled things that we're going to go over next Wednesday night. Yes. So
Okay.
I'll put that event up, and yeah, happy to have you. You'll see the topic and things like that. And if you have a question, like open Q&A question Wednesday night, absolutely use that opportunity to ask, and whoever has that knowledge can definitely help. We had a live question here at the studio. Says, what if the relatives are on the do not call list? I do believe direct skip gives you that information, and you treat that just as well as everything else. You're calling them in a manner that you're not really trying to sell them information. You're trying to educate the family, gather that, contact information and get back and let them, know why you're calling, and then offer your services when the opportunity arises in the phone call. That was a good question.
I think I called someone on Do Not Call, but I don't know. They didn't tell me. But I had sent so many text messages and
Mhm.
emails that when I finally did call the person, they were not, they said, "Oh, I got your information."
Yeah.
So they didn't hang up on me or say, "I'm on a Do Not Call."